Good morning, good morning. How are we doing today, guys? Let's go, let's go. What a wild day it has been already. The SPY tried to run up a little bit, fell back down, but now we are pushing slightly higher here just after the bell. Got the Halloween music back at it again. Oh yeah, you know it. You know it, you know it. Just let me know if it's too loud. We're in there like swimwear. What? What? Appreciate it, Jose, Christian, Joe Papa. Gonna be a great trading day, Vico says. Let's go. What do we have moving at open here? Top on the watch list, QBTS, RGTI, QUBT, all recovering back. Look at Rigetti with the big gap up. 10%. QBTS is up 17%. Wow. Those are some pretty big gaps out of the quantum sector. Win is up 5.55%. Win Resorts and Casino, they didn't even have earnings. Did a different gambling company or casino stock have earnings? Let's see. Let's see. I didn't think so. None are really listed here. If they did, yeah, that's a good jump by Win. MGM had one too. Maybe there was some good news in that sector. I'm just not seeing it on Thinkorswim. Silver Point leads financing of acquisition of MGM Northfield Park. I don't think that's necessarily the best news that would cause gap ups out of everything like this. What's up, Adventure, Life of Chris, Chase, Iceman, Varoom, KO, TJ, Chai, Jake, Game, G-Dog. Hope I didn't miss anybody. WOL. Let me know what you guys are initially seeing here at open. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing is crude oil up 5%, well over $60 a barrel here at open. Look at ZOM, the way that it ran up last night. CVX. I've seen some good moves out of oil. How's Gush? This ETF can get fun when oil gets bullish. It is up 6.2% today. Pretty solid. Anton says, Tom, you didn't mention the hanky-panky last night in the video. I know, right? It didn't make the cut, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, 1 second, guys. Sorry. 1 sec. Gosh, brutal out there. I'm seeing weak QQQ, G-Dog says. NASDAQ, pretty weak today. Yeah, it's not the most bullish, I'll tell you that. I do got to say, though, at open, it is kind of pointing up, which is a good sign so far, but a lot of times if we get a move like this where we have a gap up and then we fill the gap and start bouncing, it's usually a pretty good sign. You said, did you guys hear Tesla may be entering the energy storage market? I did not. But I knew that they did a lot with solar and, batteries and things like that. So it makes sense. Definitely makes sense if that's the case. Mason said, Tesla, it's selling off. Unfortunately, Tesla down quite a bit here with their earnings. Looks like they're actually now below the 415 support. Wow. I'm looking at 412 coming up next. I really like that low down here around 401 to 400, though. That is a big range. Very big range. He said, not unfortunate for me. I had a put. Well, hey, there we go. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That's fire. I couldn't believe how much Tesla had ripped up into this big range that it got into. Of course, this was in the middle of September. I'm not talking about right now, but it's been stuck in this range. And my gosh, recently it just hit the top and rejected right back down. It has gotten a little bit overextended, I would say. Really good moves, though, from the April lows with Tessie. I gotta say, we'll take a 120% gain, so makes sense to see some downside pressure here. Especially in this zone. This is a very crazy zone. A lot of reaction. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, good morning. Let's check on NVIDIA. Big player in the market. Filled the gap, trying to bounce back, though. Sitting around 180. This has been a critical zone for NVIDIA lately. 180. AMD, Advanced Money Dispenser. Duplicator, as some like to call it. Holding 228 well. Trying to actually bounce back up here. AMD, interesting price action today. It looks more bullish than bearish to me so far. Whenever you zoom out, I don't like how it's been falling the past few trading days. Not the best sign at that resistance around 245. All right, let me know if that's too low here. Lumen plus 5%. LUMN. Not the best PA here. Very, very choppy. Look at that pre-market action with Lumen. It's up 5%, but just note the chop. I guess there could be some opportunity here. It has been up since open. Oh, they signed $1 million. Okay. They signed a multi-million-dollar partnership with Palantir. Wow. Signed the next, They signed the partnership to unlock the next wave of enterprise AI. Okay. Now that's a pretty big deal for Lumen, sounds like. It just says multi-million. I mean, I'm not saying the scope of the deal is huge, but it's always big to get with somebody named Palantir. That's for certain. Is there a general rule about when to sell a leap before it expires? I got an AMD up all over 100%. There's not really a general rule there, Jake. A lot of times, you know, you're never going to pick the top or the bottom. So having a solid target and seeing if that target can be achieved is a good way to go in my eyes. But yeah, timing tops and bottoms will be very difficult. There's not really a general rule there, you know, because you could run into something like, let's just say you had a general rule of once you got to around 100%, you sold. But, you know, like, let's say you were trading, like, AMD and you bought leaps at, like, the, you know, around the April lows or in May or something like that. And it's actively ripping. And, like, let's say you hit 100%, like, right here. You're not just probably want to just sell out there, right? I would say the best thing to do is to start scaling out whenever you feel like that the stock is approaching a very large area of resistance where it could reject. Now, again, like, that's subjective, and it won't do it every time. Sometimes it'll blast through. Sometimes it will reject. But at the end of the day, you got to take profits at some point. And if you continue to hold those, a lot of times just time decay will start to eventually hurt you. Or just fluctuations in price. But it could be, Jake. It could be worth taking possession. If you're in a good enough spot for it and it makes sense. It could. Tesla's a great example, Goose said. Tessie. Beautiful breakout this year. Let's actually look at Tesla intraday again. Ooh, it held that 415 zone. Popping right back up here today. Little V-shaped recovery. What is going on? Hang on. Man, I love it whenever the weather changes, don't you guys? Sorry about that. Brain's not going to be able to join today. Has to take the wife to the oculist. Have a great day. See you later, Brain. Have a great one. Maybe catch a trade at the oculist. Palantir moving higher here. 177 coming up. Rejected there this morning. Palantir's been in a very strange setup over the past few weeks. Maybe even the past month at this point. As I start to look at Palantir here, how do you guys like it? Do we think that it's going to end up breaking this to the upside, or do you think it's going to break to the downside? I'm not going to do a full-blown poll because I don't think a lot of people really are looking at that, but if you're interested, let me know what you think it's going to do. Personally, I'm very conflicted here. I think it looks like more of a bullish setup where we will eventually start to run up again. Nonetheless, though, I could see a lot of people looking for a support break, especially with how overextended Palantir has been. They're kind of in a very weird, like, wedge slash flag type of pattern here. BYND is pushing. We coming back with Beyond. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Still down 6%, but up quite a bit from the pre-market, or, well, pre-market lows, of course, but from the opening price, even not bad. At the peak, up like 15% there. But if you go from the pre-market low, they were up almost 30% at the peak here. That is pretty large. 30%. Even though it's red. That's just how much volatility this one really has. Thoughts on Dollar Tree, Mr. Woo's asking. DLTR. Haven't looked at this one in a few weeks. I know they had earnings recently, right? Oh, no, they didn't. I guess it was the beginning of September. But I do kind of remember when they did. Nonetheless, though, they have been on fire the past couple weeks. They're actually getting up to some pretty critical zones and broke through $100. Wow, Dollar Tree. That is fire. I think Dollar Tree has a lot of good momentum today. Keep watching it up. I think there could be possibility for continuation. I do think it's a little overextended intraday, but it's not to the average percent rise or anything close to that yet. Notice yesterday how it continued up very well as the day progressed. That would be kind of what I look for here today, without seeing a huge pullback, right? If it starts to pull back under 100 and especially 101, those two levels will be the two levels I look at very closely for possible cuts if it did pull back. Good morning, Chase. What's up, Chase? Made a nice scalp on SPY to the upside, Demir said. He says, woot, woot. I like it. He says, nice scalp today. That's what I like to hear. 670 resistance. Wow. Pretty good run up out of SPY, though. Good job, Demir. Good run up there. Yeah, SPY's getting right back through there. Ooh, Tesla still looks pretty negative on the day. Unfortunately, following their earnings last night, not the best action. This is not the best action to see. Google's making a run, Mr. Wu says. Google's running. That's a nice jump there. Nice double top action for a breakout around 253.60, 253.50. That's how you get it done. What do the numbers mean? Yeah, Jake, we're getting CPI data coming out tomorrow morning, 1 hour before the market opens. The BLS even had to put out a notice saying that they were rescheduling this from October 10th until 2024. Or sorry, until October 24th. Sorry, I've been dealing a lot with 24 numbers lately. But yeah, October 24th is the date, which is tomorrow. It will be releasing. Now, they are actually expecting a slight jump with the data here. Let me pull it up. We go to Trading Economics, check out the calendar. We go to the numbers for tomorrow. See how it says inflation rate year over year. Previous was 2.9%. The consensus is 3.1 and 3.0. So they're expecting a slight jump. A very slight jump there. Now the core inflation rate year over year, they're actually expecting it to stay the same. The forecast is actually slightly lower. So I found that one to be interesting. Now core excludes food and energy. And I'll never forget one time I was watching a interview of Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett goes... He said something along the terms of, I don't understand why everybody likes core inflation. He says, I don't know what's more core, food or energy. And I mean, what he says makes sense, right? Like food and energy are very core to everybody's lives and society. So I don't know. That was, I thought that was a funny thing I heard him say a while ago. Now keep in mind that was like watching one of his speeches or a shareholder meeting, something like that. I have actually tried to find that quote before, but it's been a tough find. Google's making a run, Mr. Wu said. Looking pretty fire here at open. Wow, still looking great, up to 255. SPY still running as well through 669.50 to 670. That is a good sign for the bulls today. Wow, I was actually leaning more towards a rejection around 669.50 for a larger pullback. The long-term account's loving this today, I'll tell you that. Coming right back off yesterday. He's such a treasure. Mr. Wu says GoPro is pushing hard. GPRO, haven't heard anyone mention GoPro in a long time. Yeah, 7.7%. I guess there's been a lot of other stocks kind of overshadowing it here, but yeah, it is moving up very well. Very well here. It's a fire move. I like that daily chart setup. Yeah, GoPro trending. Whenever this stock trends recently, it starts to coil or curl back up. It's starting to do that right now, too. I could see it touching 3 again. That would be perfect. Would be perfect for GoPro. Mr. Wu. Thoughts on Open Door? Small Town Pyro's asking. Let's see, Open Door. It actually just fell down a lot in the short term, filled a gap, and is starting to bounce. That's usually a pretty good sign whenever you see that happen. That doesn't mean it has to continue today, but that's generally a pretty great sign. Let's look at the trend here, because it is in a bit of a trend, I think. Oh, yeah. Let's just clone this, see what it looks like. It's not going to be perfect, probably. It's pretty close, though. It's in a big channel. Look at open door channeling here the past couple weeks. I would watch for it to keep falling within the channel and consolidate for a possible breakout with the channel to the upside. The breakout might come sooner than we think. Maybe like where we are right now, possibly. But I would be careful, of course. I do lean towards that, though, over the next couple of weeks. Looks like it's been consolidating pretty good in this range. Yeah, but a lot of times these downside channels play out in that type of way. Cameras for Halloween, Chase says. I might not need a costume. No, I'm kidding. QBTS, Matt says. Yeah, I'd have to figure out a costume here. D-Wave opened up 18%. What a gap up. I know that a lot of these stocks gapped up. QBTS, QUBT, Rigetti, IONQ, a lot of quantums did very well today. Mainly gapped up. A lot of them did consolidate here at open. Now, following this consolidation, some of these look pretty hot, like IONQ, which is starting to bounce up off of the dip here. I like this. Very good price action. Checking in on oil stocks, CVX, ZOM. Nothing too insane here. ZOM and CVX actually pulling back at open, so not really going to be something we look at too much, I suppose. Win, consolidated, did not keep going with that good momentum that they had. Micron, wow, Micron, ticker symbol MU, has been pretty much straight up from market open here. That is insane. 3.5%, approaching 206. Pretty large area of resistance recently. Going to a 5-minute chart, you can see just how large that 206 range has been. Multiple rejections here with MU. That is rough. One moment, guys. Sorry, guys. My daughter's going nuts today. MU straight up, though. 3.5. This one's one of the hotter stocks that we've actually looked at today. Micron. How's AMD? Advanced Money Dispenser bouncing still off 228. Not a bad setup here. One of the better ones that we've looked at today, I would say. Holding that support in a great way. Down by the bay. I just may. I always like that. To what, Mason? What's that from? Where's a good point to jump into CoreWeave? CRW, V Adventure World said. Oh, man, I don't know what you mean, Adventure. Day trade, scalp. Long term, medium term, swing, shares, options. Let me know. I gotta say, for the way it's dipping here, I kind of like it for a swing. I think it could keep doing pretty well today, up to around the 124, 125 resistance. I actually like this setup a lot. Swing trade, 2 to 4 weeks. I like it. I like it, Adventure. And I really like the lower range that it's holding here, too. You know, you can throw your stop something like this with like a profit somewhere probably around 137 to 140. I think that puts you at a pretty good risk reward, 1.74. I like the setup here. Yeah, good support trying to form and hold. Not bad with CoreWeave. Not bad one bit. It's a pretty wild stock. Now, you could have your stop a little bit safer, potentially. Like around here. Which would make the trade a lot better for you. But nonetheless, I like the setup. Good potential. I like the support that it bounced off of around 118 and then even 114, 115. Really good range to hold there. See the daily? It started to sell off on the daily a bit. I could see it coming back for a couple of days. I'm not saying that CoreWeave is going to be, you know, going like this. But for just like a couple weeks, maybe, you know, catch a move like what I'm pointing at on the chart. It might not be that large, but you get it. Coming up off the dip. I have like 137-ish. It started to turn over recently, so, you know, just keep that in mind. You know, if it doesn't materialize and it breaks below some of these supports, you got to cut. Can't talk today. Excuse me. Martin says, damn, I'm trying to scalp Tesla, but can't catch it. Trying to scalp Tessie. What are you trying to catch on it? Let's see. Just hit the 425 resistance. Ooh. You going to be looking for more of a breakout back through 425, or are you looking for a rejection? This is a pretty big area of resistance here. Be careful. Tesla's not looking the best since that trend broke yesterday. I lean more down myself. These after earnings moves have been wild. Sure thing, Chase. I'll share this one for you. This one actually has some pretty crazy, like, video that plays while the music's going. It kind of makes me go crazy sitting here looking at it. There you go, though. I was going to scalp Tesla to the downside on open, but missed that first dip. Ah, that would have been a good one. It kind of started, though, in pre-market, which sucked. Too bad it didn't do that right at open. Could have helped with the better entry and options, of course. You're leaning down as well, but driving and trading ain't it. Not today. Oh, wow. Where are you going? My goal was for it to dip to 41, which it did. Ah. Scalp Tesla to the downside. He means 414 probably. Oh, no, he said 415. I don't know why I read that wrong. My goal was for it to dip to 415. That was pretty perfect. It'll probably trade between 415 and 425 all day now. Oh no, Martin, watch out. So we can go buy that Z06? Oh man. I got one, Martin, I got one. That's funny. How would a scalp with options on Tesla work? Goose said. Well, really the big thing is identifying an entry. And then, you know, once you have your entry, you have a good risk management strategy. You know about where you're going to stop out if Tesla does not work correctly. Oh yeah, Martin. I'll have to show you it in a minute. I'll have to show you it. You have to post yours up again, man. Still think the Simpsons are going to play out today, Steve said. They said there was a really bad red day today, right? Man, I'll tell you, we got to be careful with those, Steve. I can't believe how much fake Simpsons crap there is out there now. People are always like, the Simpsons predicted it. And I'm like, hold on. I start looking it up and I'm like, they lied. It's wild, though, how people catch on to that. On the ones that have worked out for real, it's kind of insane, isn't it? Once. My gosh, we're hearing some wild stuff around here. Oh yeah, even I am, right? You can tell it's ChatGPT. Oh, this is what people were posting. Here it is. Ah, I see. I see. That's funny. It does look like ChatGPT because the arrow up here is messed up. With that arrow being messed up, that's pretty rough. That's what really gives it away to me. Wall Strock? What? I wonder if they did that just for the show. But that's funny. What about the Futurama scene? I don't remember that. Goose said, my mom thinks that Nibiru is gonna kill us all. I can't take it out of her head. I know, man. I used to think that when I was like 12. Man, some of those conspiracies, man, I'll tell you. Some sound pretty convincing, but I need some, like, evidence. You know what? If that happens and if it happens like that, you know what? It'll be too late anyways. What's that thing flying towards us? 3-Eye Atlas? What? Speaking of Atlas, remember how Google, we had that news with OpenAI and their new Atlas browser the other day. Speaking of Atlas, I was thinking that might hurt Google a little bit in the short term. I'm going to be watching this one close. If we start to see a good pullback under that low of day from today, I think things could start to get nasty. Chase said, I almost went to law school, but I'm glad I didn't. I know attorneys who are replacing half their staff with AI, and they just fact check it all the documents. Oh my gosh. AI is very helpful, isn't it? It can be pretty helpful sometimes. If you think about it, AI and the AI bubble is getting that crazy. Caleb says, if I learn coding, hey, this is a great question. He says, Caleb says, if I learn coding, how could that help me with trading? You know, Caleb, I think that that'll help you in a few ways. Number one, if you learn coding, it's just going to help strengthen your mind. You know, you're going to be working more with numbers, you know, in, out, you know, changing things, going quick, etc., learning things, memorizing. It's just going to be helpful for you in that case. That's number one. Just help your general smarts. Number two, it's going to help you know, it's going to help you with like algebraic equations more, help you with things of that nature. Number three, it's also going to help you. Now, this is the big one with a lot of the trading platforms and coding things up that you want. So you can obviously, if you learn coding, you know, you can start to code things. Like you can start to code certain scanners, certain algorithms. You know, you can come up with ideas. Like, let's say you wanted to see stocks that are touching the upper Bollinger Band and that are above 100 SMA and this and this and this and this and this and this and this, right? Let's say there's 1,000 instructions there, right? You know, that'd be something you make. You know, you'd be making stuff like that. So, it can help you out in ways like that. You could also maybe learn how to code, you know, things that could trade for you. I mean, man, I mean, there's a lot of ways that could help you trading. Now, what it won't help you with is it's not going to make you go out there and do all the research and, you know, understand how a lot of these things work. If you learn coding, you could learn how to code and just, you know, start coding video game programs or something, right? It doesn't have to be trading, but if you put the initiative in, I think it'll help you a lot. I gotta say, a lot of people have been talking a lot lately about AI replacing a lot of coding jobs and things, and I do think that that is something that is gonna probably happen. Although I do think if you still learn it, it'll help you out tremendously personally. My degree was programming, but the calculus taught me logic, which I really liked it. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would look into it then. It sounds like you'd have some fun. Maddie stopped coding myself after using Claude Code AI. I've heard that, you know, a lot of coders just poke things into AI now and say it's theirs. QQQ, trying to not turn over, G-Dog said. Pulling back a little bit. Yeah, hit resistance around 608.50, 609, and is pulling back down. Goose said coding is getting better and better with AI, no doubt. And easier for a lot of people. Let's go see LLY. Eli Lilly and Company. 82360. Rivian's laying off 600 people as well. Is that helping them? Sometimes when companies announce layoffs, it helps them rise. Let's see, Rivian, what do you got? More than 600 workers amid the EV pullback. They're trying to reduce costs ahead of a new vehicle launch in 2026. Doesn't sound the best there. Come on, Rivian, let's get it to work. Tesla's about to rip through second test. Let's see Tessie here. Hey! 426. You said about to rip through. Oh, wow. It just rejected again. We'll see if it gets through or not. It's starting to really put some pressure on this resistance, that's for sure. It's pretty close. UVXY exploding, Junior says. SPY pulling back a little bit. UVXY starting to try to pop back up a little. Let's see, how much is it up from the low of the day? 2.26%. That's really not bad. Not bad at all. You guys know if companies without revenue need to keep shares above $4. I read this yesterday, but I don't know where it came from. There are a lot of rules and regulations like that, Goose. That is hilarious. Now, there are a lot of things where even to stay listed on exchanges, you have to stay above certain prices. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have revenue or not. Yeah, it says this applies for new listings. So there's a $4 rule for initial listings on major exchanges like the NYSE. Now, one of the big thing is $1. $1 is the big level where if they don't hold above $1, that's where I generally see companies having delisting issues. But what they can do is they can actually get around this in a few different ways. You know, they can try to reverse split to keep themselves listed. There's a few different things that they can do to keep themselves listed. But the initial listing requirements, I think, are what you were thinking of. And if they do end up getting delisted, like Jake said, they can, you know, they'll delist to the pink sheets or the OTC market. IREN medium-term setup just got price upgrades. IREN. Look at that daily chart. Starting to come back. You said price target upgrades. They are moving pretty good today. A lot better than some other growth stocks that I've seen. I'd say a lot better. Tesla closing the gap, Martin asked. Tessie just bounced off 415. Moving up to 425.50, 426. Not necessarily closing the gap. Definitely testing big resistance from this morning, though. That's multiple rejections there on Tessie. Here we go, QQQ, G-Dog said. QQQ looking pretty crazy here, pulling back. Starting to bounce off 606.50, watch it. Looking at the SPY, it's also pulling back in a pretty good way, back below 669.50. This is where we might start to see a bit of a shift back to the downside here. I'm noticing off of yesterday's low onto today's pre-market level, look at this trend line. If we start to see this trend line break down today, that's where I think the fun price action will come in. Wow, let's get it, man. Let's get it, let's get it. The list of the pink sheets. That's funny you say that, Jake. It reminds me of the Wolf of Wall Street. That's funny. Everyone's heard of it from there, right? Demir says, I'm out of here, guys. Peace. See you later, Demir. Have a great one. See you later. All right, Palantir, let's go. Come on, let's break through 178.30. Unless you're looking at it to the downside. If you are, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's a actually pretty good resistance that it's at. Rejecting off the trend. This is a weird setup, though, the Palantir's been in. Pretty strange how much it's bounced within this range and off of these trends. Right now, it's right in the middle of the range. Watch for it to hit the top end of the trend and dip back down again. See you, Demir. Have a good one. How about growth stocks today? QBTS, Rigetti, QUBT, Quantums are the ones on fire. Here's QUBT, 9.6%. QBTS is the fun one. 19.75% on the watch list. Look at this intraday PA. Some of the best that we've seen yet today. Now, it's been up and down, but I like the way in which it is actively pushing higher, which is nice, and it's up 20%. Of course, the biggest gainer on our watch list. A lot of it in pre-market, though. APA's been popping up from open. Pulled back here the past 10 to 15 minutes, maybe. Possible dip buy soon. Las Vegas Sands. Okay, what is going on with these casino stocks? There's got to be something with these. I mean, LVS had tons of price upgrades. Okay, that makes sense. Tons of them. Oh, they had earnings yesterday. Okay. And the earnings went well for LVS. That might be what's pushing Wynn and everybody higher today. I didn't see that yesterday that Wynn reported. Maybe somebody else reported too. Let's check. They're not showing it on here anyways if they did. They should take off a couple of these and throw on some of those more interesting ones, that's for sure. Obviously, I can't do everything because of the chart limitations, but still. APLD just had a huge U-turn. Pretty big recovery back up, but it hit resistance. Good PA on SoFi. Let's see, Jake. Not bad. Pretty decent from open today. Nice higher lows. I am worried that it's, under resistance now. It's kind of now in the middle of the range. Not my favorite, but it has had good PA from open. How do we see Oxy? Oxy looks pretty solid here. Holding its ground. A lot of these oil stocks have been on fire. I don't know if you guys have seen that with all the Russia sanction news. You could say Russia tensions, I guess. Things are heating up. Wow, I just saw something that Miami Heat player Terry Rozier and Portland Trail Blazers coach was arrested as part of a sting operation. I wonder if this will help DraftKings. This is insane. Mafia-linked gambling sports rigging probe. That's insane. I wonder what they're rigging. My first thought is, how's DraftKings gonna go? Got all these casino stocks going wild. I know it's not from that news, probably. Probably more with LVS's earnings, but still. Still, it gets me interested, right? Mason said they're all gambling. Why did the stock trader go broke on Halloween? Because he put his money in booing stocks. That's pretty funny. It sounds almost like Boeing. Oh my god, that's actually really good. That might be the best one that I've heard of. I don't know if they meant it to be like Boeing, but booing stocks. It's not. I kind of like that one. I'm probably going to be in the minority there. Dusty said, what's wrong with DraftKings? I know, right? What's wrong? No, they're just having a downturn right now. They've been doing really well the past couple years. They're just getting towards the lower end of their range again. It never holds or takes a direction despite its recent good news. It's done pretty good in the past, like in 23 and 24, whenever it was rising up quite a bit, but of course, lately it hasn't been holding direction very well. I gotta say though, if you're an options trader, you can buy it at the bottom of the range and, ride it back up to the top of the range and have some pretty good opportunities in that sense. Even with shares, but DraftKings is a pretty wild one. I do think that there could be a lot of volatility in the sports gambling world, so I wouldn't be surprised if they dip back down a little bit. Load back up. Of course, I always have some DraftKings, but always good to take some profits, too. What do you see in Webull stock? Spies holding, GLD's recovering. What do you see on Bull? Webull actually just tested a pretty big area of support the past few days. This might not be a bad opportunity here at the support. The risk reward isn't bad. You'd have to set it up though in the right way. Let's say you put a stop loss at the all-time low here since it IPO'd around 9.38, and you're buying in off this support. You could have a solid setup just targeting even $13 with a 1.28 risk reward. Obviously, the more the better. I mean, it looks like you could get to 14 or so and it'd be a 2 risk reward. I like the setup with support. It's just, if support breaks down, you gotta cut. You gotta cut it. But it's not a bad area of support. And it's also a stock that just IPO'd, so it's gonna have some craziness to it, so you gotta keep that in mind. There's a shot that the support could break down. It's not like a super established support or anything like that, but it has had a couple bounces, so fairly established. It's just, again, the stock hasn't even been on the market for a year. Oh, missed it by one leg. Dumb Red Wings. No. SMCI is really taking a beating, down 7.1% here. Wow. That is a big drop-off below $50 a share. That was a pretty nasty rundown today. My gosh, what happened to them? What was the news? They cut first quarter revenue. Oh. A design won in excess of $12 billion, I guess. That sounds weird. Numerous key customers ramping large multi-quarter volume deployments. Okay. They reiterate their full year 26 revenue. Expectation of delivering more. Okay. They trimmed their first quarter forecast on order delays. Ew. Again, not a good piece of news. Looks like they came out with some financials here and ended up falling down quite a bit with SMCI. I keep milking SMCI with covered calls and they always disappoint, so I can sell it again. They always disappoint. Sorry guys, had to switch the music. The other one ended. RGTI is blasting on top of the 5-minute opening range, waiting for some continuation. Not bad, RGTI. I like it. I like it. Pretty good recovery back following that dip from the gap up this morning. Nice setup. QBTS looks solid too. QUBT. Yeah, the quantum stocks came back pretty well. IONQ seems to be trending up well. I love IONQ setup, guys. Watch that one. Maybe for a push towards 64, 65. Not far off from it right now. TSLA falling back down. 426 rejection. That's not what you want to see. That's a big push lower. Can you take a look at SLV? I feel like it has more support than GLD does. Silver and gold. Whoa. These setups are so weird and volatile. Silver does have a very solid support here around 44.45 to 44.50. GLD, though, has a very solid support, too, around 380 to 380.40. I'd say silver's is more defined. You know, you can tell that it's like all along this range, it's just holding. Whereas, like, if we go to GLD, you know, it extends down to here and then it moves up a little bit. It's not necessarily as defined or as perfect, but it still shows that there's a good support range there. I think they both look pretty similar. GLD does seem like it wants to recover up today, I'll say that. There's always a shot that it pushes support and then tries to bounce, but I like the possibility, especially with it almost touching that level in pre-market. SLV as we zoom out. Yeah, really nice. I like SLV setup better. I think I'm with you there. I like the setup better. I would say it is a better / more defined support. Yeah, MU does make storage hardware. That's one of their biggest things. At least storage, chips, things like that. Like you said, hardware. Very broad. I don't think we can see all-time highs again soon. It'll be close, I suppose. It'll be close. Halloween's on a Friday this year. This will be epic. I know, right? I knew it was on Friday. It sounds awesome. Too bad it's not on Friday the 13th. That would be really fun. All right, SPY, what are we looking like? Pretty good recovery, 670. Secondary leg on this recovery back up. SPY's holding the trend line pretty well so far. So far, so good there. Bank of America, BAC. How's JP Morgan? Hello, JP. Pretty nice action. Trying to recover back up. Look at that daily chart. JP Morgan and Bank of America had been falling recently. JP Morgan recently just touched a big support yesterday. So be ready for it to possibly bounce about around this 290 point. Bank of America. Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo seems to be in a crazy wedge here. Weird setup the past few days. Oh, strange setup to me. Looked very weird on the daily chart. When I zoom in intraday, it doesn't line up near as well. But if we go to the daily, because it doesn't necessarily show those peaks as well, it just looks like a very weird wedge. British Tom is the new character unlock. You get it at level 99. Do you call Nvidia price by its price before split or current pricing, Canal? You would always go off of current pricing. We call it split adjusted. Now, if you went to pre-split levels, you know, you could say pre-split level of this. But then what do you do if the stock is split 10 times in the past? Then you have to like do a lot of weird math. So it gets weird sometimes. So we just, yeah, I would just say normal price like nothing happened. Here comes the elevator down. Is that right? 5-minute chart. SPY coming up to test that recent high. I'm watching for a possible lower high today. Get ready. If we see some selling, it could be fun. Watch UVXY. Yeah, watch UVXY very closely. But alrighty, guys, I think we're going to call it there today. Have a lot of important stuff to get done in the short term here. I don't like the way SPY's starting to slow up. Watch out for it to start turning over. GLD looks like it's ran out of fuel too. It's up 1% on the day, more than its average over the past year, actually. More than its average. Same with SLV. Pretty insane to say. I guess the gap up was large. Really not bad. GLD, I still like the way it's holding its ground. It just is very slow. It definitely doesn't have a lot of momentum, that's for sure. No momentum, but it could find momentum in the afternoon if it starts to try to break out, and I think there's a possibility it could try that. It's not up a ton yet, but it's pretty good. Keep your eyes on LVS, WIN, MGM. Those stocks are on fire. Look at WIN intraday still. MGM. SoFi had some good price action today. Recently broke the high of the day, breaking out up to 3.3%. APA had a good move from open. It's starting to come up off of the intraday dip, close to 24. Maybe throw a stop loss under there if you're looking for an opportunity really quick. NNE, SMR, getting a lot of the nuclear stocks that were popping here again today. SMR did start falling over here now, though. Just something to be aware of. Another big sector today is crude oil. Crude oil has been opening up pretty well above $60 a barrel. It's up 5% on the day. That is a pretty good move for crude. ZOM, Oxy, CVX, all dipping from open. Maybe there could be some dip buy opportunities there as we go forward. Appreciate you guys joining up today. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great one. I will talk to you later. Let's go.